What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to episode number 462 of the Smark Smack Talk podcast. I'm your host, as always, Tony Mango, and joining me, as always, is Robert DeFelice.
Hi, my name is Robert DeFelice, and I'm here to tell you that Zubaz pants are, in fact, comfortable.
Really?
Yes.
Now, are you going to complete the look with a little
really thinking about
fanny
it.
pack?
I'm really thinking about it.
And a turtleneck and just all the other kind of things that went on back in the day?
I'm gonna bring the 90s back. I'm doing it.
Please bring the 90s back. It would be so much better.
It really would.
Yeah, I miss the 90s. Well, this is the hot tags of the week. If you don't know what that is, it's our breakdown of the current events, rumors, the news, gossip, and some other things in the world of professional wrestling over the past few days that we feel like talking about. Not everything, of course, because there's just way too much negativity, so maybe we're not going to talk necessarily about the Candy Cartwright lawsuit going further in that direction, or we're not going to really dive deep into the Alberto Del Rio thing, because we've talked about that ad nauseum. But we will talk about some of the other things on that spectrum, an injury, an arrest, a cancellation of a TV show, and our biggest priority for this whole episode is going to be our first impressions of the 2020 WWE Draft. So you're going to look to...
Not the whole thing, even from the SmackDown side, though, because there's talking smack.
It's our first impressions of the first section of a two-part thing that wasn't fully done in its one part, and that's a frustration that we're gonna break down. So we invite you to do the same thing, of course, in the comments below. Obviously, if you are on a thing where it doesn't have a comments thing below, Amazon Music or Spotify or whatever, then hop on over to one of the things that you actually can listen to this and leave a comment. The best, of course, being YouTube. So if you are on YouTube and you're dropping a comment, you should also hit the like button. You should subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that already. You should ring that little notification bell, because that would have told you that we were live this past Wednesday for the Q4 mailbag. Thank you to everybody who joined in on that or checked it out afterward. And, if you are subscribed, and if you have that little notification thing set up, then you get those notifications as well as when things get posted just on a regular basis. So, when the hot tags get edited and published, then you'll know that that's the case. You do the same, of course, if you're following us on Facebook and Twitter and, the RSS feed on smarkmma.com and all those other avenues. But why not do the direct email kind of a thing with YouTube? That way things are not getting lost in the shuffle. If you like this video enough and you want to help us out on the monetary side of things, there's the little applause button as well. It's right next to the little thumbs up one. And you can hit the join button as well. Join the YouTube membership platform, which is essentially the YouTube version of the Patreon. And of course, I'll just knock out those plugs out of the way right now too. Patreon.com/SmarkOutMoment. Go ahead and help us out and help us grow from $1 and up. $1, of course, is greatly appreciated no matter what is out there. But we also have the $10 Darkcast tier. Those are Patreon and YouTube exclusive episodes. You can only get to those if you're at the $10 and up tiers. They got the mailbag priority. Maybe you missed the mailbag from this week and you want to get some other questions and you don't want to wait until January. Well, take advantage of the mailbag priority. And there's also the Pick Your Poison tier, where you can request whatever special feature or editorial or whatever it is. It's either on the website or on the podcast side of things that you want. And since you're bankrolling it, you're funding that, and we will go ahead and do that as long as it's, within reason and not like, my request is a review of every WrestleMania in Fantrax form. We're not doing a fan announce table for all those.
I mean, hold on. If you pay enough money,
technically speaking, there is that.
If you're reasonable about it, like if okay, we'll give you one a month, we could do that.
There's that one tier that's like, $1,000 up, and I'm like, I don't even know what I would give you. Like, technically, if you did that, then that would be the case. But, maybe that's not the case for you. Maybe you want something tangible. You go ahead and check out the merchandise shops, TeePublic and the Redbubble. There are shops not only for Smark Out Moment, but also Fanboys Anonymous and for A Mango Tees. And if you're interested, I just posted something new yesterday for A Mango Tees. If you want to vote for the fly that landed on Mike Pence's head, there's a parody of the Trump Make America Great Again with just fly and Make America Fly Again. Because there you go, in the 90s.
Have you sold anything?
Out of that? No.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been up like 24 hours at this point. Maybe not even 24 hours. So
you got to get that around to more places because people will buy it.
I hope that they do. I'll pass it around somewhere. We'll see where it flies. I don't know. I'll put flyers out there. There you go.
Bazinga.
Yeah, so check all that stuff out, and of course, kind of just keep the ball rolling and tell us your thoughts on these hot tags, because we're gonna start getting into those with the arrest of the week. It's something to think. It shouldn't be like a regular thing, but how many times do we get like some kind of an arrest? This one's an older news story. It's not, the most sensational that's out there. Of course, now that some other things have happened too, but it is something that happened since the last time, and we didn't get a chance to talk about it on the mailbag. The WWE producer who has not been a producer for now, she's been furloughed or whatever, Sarah Stock, was arrested. And it wasn't the typical arrest. Normally it's, they got arrested for a DUI or whatever, which is awful enough as it is. But she got arrested on multiple charges that included aggravated battery, resisting law enforcement, disorderly conduct, and public intoxication by alcohol. And her response to all this was, "Never a dull moment. I'm just fine, and so is Cookie. Everything will be resolved in due time. I'll keep you updated." I am assuming, of course, Cookie is a dog. I was, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, just picturing Sarah Stock sitting in a car, and she's got she went to, I don't know, Panera Bread or Subway or something. She's got one of those cookies in the little sleeve, and it's like the what's it called? Oh my god, I'm blanking on the name. Seatbelt is strapped in, so it's the cookie's the cookie's fine.
Amazing.
But it's kind of weird when somebody gets arrested for, aggravated battery and disorderly conduct and public intoxication and resisting law enforcement, and it's just never a dull moment. It's sort of.
Well, she's honest. It sounds like she's had a bad night.
I mean, I've had plenty of bad nights. I don't do that.
That's
oh wait, Cookie is a cat.
That's fair.
Yeah, she's got a cat, so there you go. We solved one of those.
Nice.
I don't know, of course, how this is going to all work out. Is she still furloughed from WWE, or is she flat out released? I don't remember at this point.
I believe she's flat out released by now. I'm now following the arrest. I'm sure she is.
If not, then yeah, because I don't know who she was involved with. I don't know all the details without that. It's just one of those things where it's okay, that's not good. And I'm hoping that there's some kind of clarification that comes out afterward where it was oh, it wasn't really this and it wasn't really that, and things weren't as bad as you think that it would be or whatever, and not something like she is out of work and really feeling down and got all drunk and started acting a fool, some people would say.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely sounds like she got drunk and acted a fool.
Yeah.
But it seems like...
What other 90s phrases can we bring back today?
All that in a bag of chips.
There you go, yeah. Back that ass up? I'm trying to think of something.
Maybe? Maybe it's time to bring that back.
You know what I miss?
We need to raise the roof and back that ass up.
I miss, I don't know if this was just my area, if this went around all that, but when people used to say, "Dag, yo."
Dag, yo?
D-A-G, dag.
Dag, yo? What are we doing?
That's when you're young enough that you're not allowed to say goddamn or fuck.
I know, you're just oh,
so
dag, yo,
dag.
Ugh.
So now we all need to go up to Sarah Stock at some point and be like, "Dag, yo, what's up? What's going on? You acting up a fool?"
She was.
Yeah, hopefully things are better for Sarah than what this implies. I don't know. Of course, she says she's going to clarify some stuff at some point. I'm sure that'll go out there, or we'll maybe talk about it if it's another interesting enough story. Usually the most interesting thing is the fact that somebody gets arrested anyway, then we usually lose track of it by then, which isn't really fair because, it's not really
awful.
It's true though. That's what it is. It'll be oh, okay,
is.
That's why you're not as sensational. Well, that won't, that'll be on page B, as if we're a newspaper.
But here's the thing. It sucks to lose your job. Vices suck, such as alcohol. Don't drink, kids. That's the moral of the story.
Speaking of the whole newspaper angle, you know what newspaper I would make if one of my original ideas that I was going to go with instead of Smark Out Moment?
What's that?
The lateral press.
I love that. Dude, use that.
It's on my list of things where I'm like, I've got nothing else I can use for it because I need it to be a newspaper.
We should do print media, like a full-on magazine or something, and that's the name.
I want to do it. The lateral press. So,
Caroline can do the art. Like, I see it. We're gonna do it.
It's out there. Copyright. There you go. Let's move on to, let's talk about something that's on the Fanboys Anonymous spectrum. If you don't know what Fanboys Anonymous is, it's the site where I do all the movie stuff. You know, if it's something on the TV spectrum, if it's about comic books, if it's in the video game realm, whatever that kind of stuff is, you'll find it over on fanboysanonymous.com, including the fact that I posted up a thing, mostly a rant that I've been thinking about for a while, but I had a couple minutes, so I wrote it up the other day about just, it's annoying that there's no one term that means movies and TV shows, because you can't, like, everything is like, oh, well, that really just means movies. Oh, that just means TV shows. Oh, well, that means that, but it's also video games. Oh, well, that's actually just all types of things. People are like, what about media? Well, media can be anything. It could be a magazine.
What visual about media? Well, I guess no, that could be a magazine.
Yeah, it could be anything. People go, what about cinema? Cinema implies that it's in a theater. It's not just something that you can watch at home, like a TV show. Oh, what about shows? No, you don't call shows movies, you know? You don't go like, oh, did you go see that show? Yeah, the one show, Avengers? It's not the same thing. People go, what about programs? No, what do you do on a remote? You program your thing to do it, whatever. It's not programs. So I wrote up a whole thing about just how it's basically like, what? I'm annoyed. We need a word for this. I eventually settled on probably the only thing would be cinemedia, and just screw it. TV shows are now movies, and we're just lumping them all in together as a season, as a movie.
That is the most you thing ever. Of course you're going to merge it.
Merging is good. Merging is nice. Merging is smart. It's efficient.
Why would you do anything but merge, you know? Like, why?
Eventually, we're all the law of one. We're all one collective consciousness. We're all going to merge together into one Big Bang Crunch type of thing, you know? And I'll win.
What does that even mean?
I don't know, but it's something.
But I win. Like,
if you know what it means, drop a comment below. Donate to the Patreon. I don't know. Let's talk about Glow, though. Speaking of me winning, this is me losing. We were supposed to get a fourth and a final season of Glow, the show that deals with the gorgeous ladies of wrestling back in the day, and it is not going to happen. They had renewed this last year. They were in production for the fourth season, and Netflix decided, nah. They've done it for a couple of those shows too. It's not just Glow, but they basically decided, well, we don't have the resources to pay for things during COVID, and we are just gonna drop everything. And this is one of the most annoying things about Netflix, because Netflix is so good to pick up a show, but they only want shows to last for like 3 seasons. It's something with this whole, like, at that point, everybody starts making more money.
COVID, right?
Well, it's that, plus it's contracts, because once you get past a couple seasons, people end up renegotiating their contracts and they get more money. So Netflix always wants to just cut the show and not have that and just move on to another show and start a whole brand new thing. So I'm sure that that's a factor into that, but it's probably they're blaming it on COVID. And they're trying to get something going. The different men and women that have been a part of the show, the cast and the crew, are spreading around the hashtag Save Glow, but it doesn't seem like it's really getting a whole lot of...
It'll get something.
Where do they go? That's the thing. You know, a lot of shows are like, oh, Netflix picks them up, but that's what they're hoping for, is that they can get a 2-hour movie to wrap up the story. And I would love to see that, because they, at the very least, if they wrap up the story, then it's not as good as if they would have had full-on episodes, but at least it ends, you know?
What's going to happen is you and I are going to write the ending ourselves, and we're going to reveal it here on Smart God Fanboys Anonymous.
Do you remember how things ended the last season?
Yes. So I remember that I'm blanking on all the names right now, but I know Bash had like this moment where he finally just gave into the fact that he's gay, and then the next day or whatever was like, no, 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 I'm not actually gay. No, I want to have a kid with you, and that was where his story ended. I believe I fuck it. I'm drawing a blank on the main character's name, but Mark Maron's character was gonna be with her,
Alison
and
Brie.
thank you, Alison Brie, and it was just like, oh, it's Christmas, and I'm gonna tell you that I actually have feelings for you, and then something got in the way there, so I'm guessing they end up together, right? Like that has to happen. Uh, Liberty Bell ends up with her family, and Welfare Queen.
She's a manager for
That's
that
right.
now.
They made her a manager. Yeah.
She's pulling like a DiBiase type of thing, and I think if I remember correctly, Ruth, Alison Brie's character, I think she's in charge now instead of Mark Maron's character, and that they're running the show like on their own, and they've switched a bunch of characters around, and they're making new things going on like that.
Right, because they wanted to just experiment.
Right. So I don't know how I would end the show. I'd probably end with it just being like, all right, that's it. Like Glow's canceled and they move on to different types of things, because otherwise then it kind of implies that Glow's been going around for years and years and it hasn't. But yeah, I like things to end happy when it fits. Sometimes stories have to end sad, Obviously, the Titanic was not going to be like, and the boat's fine, It's just sort of like, it is what it is. But I think
we
that,
could have gotten a happier ending than what we.
well, I mean, look at it this way. He could have fucking been on that chunk of wood. She could have moved over a little bit.
Yeah. But she was just. If that story is a real story.
No, it's not.
She's just a bitch. Like
She grew up being all, rich and waited on and all that. So she's just like, I don't want to move a little bit. That's a little uncomfortable. I think you should just drown.
That is exactly what it comes down to. And justice for Jack. Hashtag that. Like Jack deserves better, Like,
So that's how Glow ends, is
Jack deserves better.
it just cuts to DiCaprio climbing back up on that chunk of the door or whatever it was, and just being like, actually, I'm all right. I'll be okay.
I'd be okay with it.
I'm disappointed. I hope that something happens with Glow and it's not just the end. I hate it when TV shows are in that kind of scenario. I mean, there's been plenty of shows that I've been a big fan of and it just ends on cliffhangers. And like I remember like Flash Forward was a show where I was like, oh, this is pretty fucking cool in one season. And Resurrection was a show that could have gone on one more season. They could have wrapped it all up.
Yeah. Firefly, people love to talk about Firefly. Were you a fan?
No. I watched all the episodes. I watched the movie Serenity because my friends were like, you will freaking love this. It's so good.
But that's probably why you didn't like it.
And I was like, I don't like any of these characters. And I kind of want them all just to sort of die. And then, of course, the movie comes around and it kills off some of them. And I'm like, all right, well, now they're all dead. Who cares? It's kind of, yeah. That's one of those rare instances where somebody's like, it's got a lot of things that you really like. And I'm like, yeah, and I didn't like any of it. I think people get it confused a lot when I say that I like Star Wars. They think that I like the Han Solo and spaceship side of Star Wars and the aliens and all that. And I'm like, no. That I don't care about. I like the Jedi. Hence why the movies that have been coming out piss me off so much, because they ruin those. But like, that's why I never got into Star Trek, because Star Trek is more of that side of things, where it's like the spaceship is shooting the phasers and this is the alien tribe that's whatever. And I'm like, well, pick up a lightsaber and I'll be a little bit more interested,
It's that you don't understand nuance, Tony.
Yeah, that's the problem. When they go, you see, though, this is like the Wild West, but it's in space. And I go, I know. That's why you filmed it in the desert. And then they go, yeah, but they're using pistols that shoot lasers. And I'm like, I know.
It's space.
But this one, she's like running a space brothel. And this one, he's like a space pirate. And that one's a space cowboy. It's like, okay, you just added space to everything. That's all the difference, what it was. No. This one's really crazy. She's got this whole, like, she's genetically engineered and whatever like that. Oh, that sounds kind of neat. Yeah, she's like a space Terminator or something. Oh, fuck you. She's a space super soldier. Anyway, we got on the Firefly side of things.
Oh, good lord.
You know a much better Firefly?
Not Bray Wyatt.
No, not that one was on my head. Get a different one in my head.
I'm guessing the best Firefly is the one that landed on Mike Pence's head?
Nah, that wasn't a Firefly. Batman villain.
Right. Oh, well, yes.
Much better Firefly. Underrated villain.
Underrated, yeah. Thank you.
And screw Firebug. You only need one of them, and Firefly's cooler. So if you want more content like that, go to fanboysanonymous.com. I'd love to get deeper into some of these kind of stories. But since this is a wrestling-related thing, and of course WWE never bothered to have much of an interaction with Glow for some reason, you'd think that was like a no-brainer that they just ignored.
They should have done more with Glow.
I don't know how they didn't.
They don't like us.
No, that's true. We'll get more into that with the draft a little bit. Let's talk about something that's really upsetting about NXT. So we know that Dakota Kai is potentially injured. We know that Tegan Nox is injured. We know that Kyle O'Reilly is injured. And we know that Finn Balor is injured. And we know that Karrion Kross is injured. And we know that there's some other people that are potentially injured. And then this week, Ridge Holland gets a little bit of a setup of, hey, maybe somebody like paid him off to attack Adam Cole, and they're going to follow that storyline, and he's going to maybe fight Finn Balor down the line for the title and whatever. And Oney Lorcan jumps on top of him, and Ridge Holland fractures and dislocates his ankle, has a dislocated right knee patellar, and his patellar tendon is ruptured.
Yeah.
Shit. Like, you get Angel Garza where they're saying like, oh, he's actually not as bad as what it seems.
It'll be like 2 weeks.
Yeah, he just needs to take a break for a couple weeks and he's cool. And it's like, oh, okay, that's awesome. Ridge Holland's like, I'll catch Oney Lorcan, and ow, there goes every part of my leg. Essentially, like, fuck.
Yeah.
That really sucks because Ridge Holland is somebody that I thought was working his way towards something pretty decent. Like, he's got a good look to him. Yeah, he dropped Gargano. Of course, there's plenty of people make plenty of mistakes and stuff, and that might have just been an off situation. But I thought that he had some good stuff going. I dig his theme. I think he's imposing. I liked the idea that he had attacked Adam Cole. I liked that he had been potentially paid off, and who's going to be the one that is revealed to be associating with him. Doesn't matter now.
And it really leaves NXT in shambles. I'd like to read you something from Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select. It says, there has been a lot of change, frustration, and uncertainty backstage in NXT as of late. We've learned that there were several technical difficulties and errors at Wednesday's tapings, leading to a series of frustrations among those at the production table. Most in NXT pretty well agree that those in charge are in a rough position due to the stream of injuries this week. Kyle O'Reilly, Finn Balor, and Ridge Holland. So here's the deal. Finn Balor might be more hurt than they're letting on. So might Kyle.
Well, Kyle's injury, they haven't been dealing too much with. They said that he injured his liver. Is that what it was?
Something like that, and they said he broke a couple teeth.
There's some rumor going around he might have had a concussion.
I don't know. It was a physical fucking match.
Right. Balor, we know he's got his jaws all messed up. They said on one of the most recent things that he's on a liquid diet, so it's like that's certainly not all that good. I don't know how that really equates to like if he's going to have to relinquish that championship or if they're going to.
They're not going to do that to him.
Well, if it depends on how long he's going to be out, right?
Not for this one. There's no takeover coming up anytime soon. As long as you can make it to the next takeover, I'm sure they'll try to stretch it.
Well, there's also the idea that if they do the Raw versus NXT versus SmackDown thing, somebody's got to be a champion.
They can do whatever they want. They can do No, they can do whatever they want. They don't have to do Survivor Series, brand to brand, whatever. They can do literally anything they want to do.
Well, if they do that, though, they need an NXT champion because otherwise it just makes no sense, you know?
Well, God bless Adam Cole because he's still there. He's still helping. Give him the belt.
They might need to do something like that. What are you eating, by the way?
Some sour cream and onion chips.
All that and the bag of chips. Look at that.
Indeed.
I'm hoping, of course, that Balor is in one of those situations where they give him a couple weeks and he's fine. They don't have to do some kind of brand new champion type of thing. I'm hoping that he can be back by Survivor Series. And maybe they just take a little bit of time off with a couple of the other people too. Holland, of course, is going to need surgeries, and he's going to be out for a while.
Listen, since we're talking Finn Balor and Survivor Series and NXT, all these injuries suck, but it might lead to something Kevin Owens wants. He recently revealed that he was supposed to go back to NXT last year. And plans changed.
To the surprise of nothing, you know?
Well, which part? The Kevin Owens NXT or the plans changing?
Yes.
Yeah. Because if you remember, he did War Games, right? And they did the thing where it was like, oh, is he going to fight Adam Cole? And the next night, he started a 6-month feud with Seth Rollins, and that was that.
Right. And he's been very adamant that he was interested in going back down to NXT. Like, he talks about that all the time, so.
Ember apparently did the same thing. Of course, see, with Kevin Owens, I understand it, but Ember needed to go back, whereas I think Kevin just wants to go back.
I think Kevin wants to go back because he's remembering the fact that he had a better run there than he did on the main roster in a lot of ways. And he probably figures, you know what, big fish, small pond, that type of scenario.
Right.
Whereas, I mean, yeah, Ember Moon, I don't think she necessarily needed to go back, but it's a question of, did she need to go back or did she need to get an actual push? If they care, they can make anybody on the main roster.
Oh, we learned that with Jey Uso.
Exactly. So if they give a shit, anybody can have a good run on the main roster, and anybody who would have to go back down to NXT might not be a big fish in a small pond because they might just be ignored there too. But I think that might be why Kevin Owens was in there. He's probably just like, you know what, I'd rather have that schedule and I'd rather just be working with that and maybe hang around in there instead of traveling around as much. And, you know, but I guess we'll see how the rest of this draft kind of plays out, but they might need to change a couple people around with this NXT thing if this keeps happening, because this is not a good run for this championship. It's almost been like cursed or something. Like,
if I'm Kevin Owens or if I'm Triple H, I'm calling for people to go back to NXT.
I still say Bo Dallas is just a no-brainer. He needs to go down there.
Well, there's got to be a reason they're not doing it with him. And the last person I said that about was Lars Sullivan. And, you know, so we'll see what happens.
But what's happened most recently has been Adam Cole. Well, no, actually, we'll go back a little bit. Gargano and Ciampa were supposed to have their thing. And Ciampa ends up having to relinquish the title. Gargano wins it, drops it to Cole. Cole holds it for the longest amount of time. His main, like, oh, he'll probably drop it to this guy, ends up being Velveteen Dream. That doesn't work out. So he drops it to Keith Lee, who drops it on his first title defense, to Karrion Kross, who gets injured in that match. They settle on Finn Balor as the next champion, and both he and his challenger get injured. And the guy that gets set up as, I'm going to probably fight you next, gets injured.
I think the lesson here is put the goddamn belt on Adam Cole and leave it there, don't you think?
I think the message here is if you want somebody to get injured, make them the NXT champion or make them fight for the championship or something. So if you're like, you got a vendetta against somebody or whatever,
you know, that might be a good way to get rid of people.
You know what they start doing in NXT? They start announcing that AEW roster members are the champion and the challenger.
And then suddenly, oh my God, Orange Cassidy broke his neck.
Right, just sort of like, Chris Jericho is the NXT champion? How did that happen?
Well, he's out for the rest of his career.
if they do have to have a new champion, you think that Cole's the only way to go?
Gargano's sitting on his ass. Um, Ciampa maybe, but I would put it back on Cole.
I think I'd probably go Gargano. Just make that part of the Gargano way type of thing.
I don't know. I'm not digging the whole. I'm more concerned about my TV Johnny Gargano than the actual Gargano. Like, I miss babyface Gargano.
Well, now that they set up this whole thing with Indy Hartwell, it pretty much, okay, Garganos aren't going up to the main roster.
Yep.
That's a shame.
It is.
Before we talk about the draft, let's talk about the other TV stuff for this week, because we can kind of loop back around once we get to SmackDown and then go into the draft side of things like that. But let's talk AEW first. We have a new TNT champion. It's the old TNT champion, but Cody won that dog collar match. What the hell was that fucking accent there? Cody won that dog collar match.
That daggone dog collar match.
Dag, yo. that dag collar match.
Dag, yo.
Well, Cody won the dag collar match, and he cut this impassioned promo afterward and everything. So
was it impassioned though?
It always is. I mean, he's always just kind of like, kind of doing that. But I didn't really like it.
Why?
Because I just sort of felt like, okay, Brody Lee won the championship because Cody wanted to film that stupid reality show.
Yep.
And that's stupid.
Yep.
Why not just have him, like, I don't know, not record that day and go and do something on All Out and keep the title? Because Brody Lee, I don't think he looks all that much better now. He won the championship to lose it to the same guy. Who cares? Technically speaking, he's going to be a champion and all that, that kind of nonsense, but it doesn't do anything for me. It doesn't make me think that the Dark Order is now like impervious to falling into the same rut that they did before. It doesn't make me think that Cody's any better off. It wasn't worth it, I think. And I think that if they would have gone with something like that, it would have been better to just have somebody else beat Brody Lee. And maybe Cody beats that person. I mean, like, they could come back around to that. Cody should have held that championship the whole time. Would have meant more.
I agree.
Will Hobbs, I should say.
Hold on. Well, I got into this on the Fightful stream, and I don't want to belabor this point, but you weren't on there with me, and I'd like to get your take. Cody bleeds too much, right?
Yeah.
Like, I love blood in wrestling. Don't get me wrong. It's a beautiful tool, and it's used very well, but this fucking guy wants everything to be the Omni, and it's 1985, and his name is Dusty. And now, granted, it works here, but I mean, I do not want to see you bleed for like another 3 months.
He's falling into that rut that a lot of people are, where every match is WrestleMania. Yeah. Like the Bucks are like, kick out of 15 finishers, and when we get it with WWE too, it's not like it's just in AEW, but in the indies, I mean, how many indie things are like that? It's everybody kind of grew up with this idea of the WrestleMania match, and they want their match to be like that, no matter what type of scenario they're in. So they do the bleeding, they do the kicking out of the finishers, they do the, it's a super long match, and it ends with people acting like they wrestled for, the sanctity of their marriage or something, like.
I mean, if your name is Rusev, maybe you did, but
no Miro, because he's still, I guess, kind of tweaked. Well, no, they only showed him playing some games.
He was playing some Pac-Man or some shit.
Yeah, so that's how far has that gone down when it's like, oh wow, like Rusev's there, let's make a big impact. He's gonna have a shitty match and get a little bit injured and then kind of fuck off for 2 weeks at the very least.
I want you to Google right now the WrestleMania 31 poster.
WrestleMania 31 poster.
Name everybody on that poster.
Let's see what we got here. We got Lesnar, Reigns, Cena, Triple H, Sting, Daniel Bryan, Rusev, and Undertaker.
One of those names is currently playing video games in the crowd of All Elite Wrestling when he should be fucking running through everybody. He is the last guy to have a legitimate match with Cena at WrestleMania. You should be playing off of that. I get that he has a Twitch. Who doesn't? It's 2020. I don't care. I want to see him be a badass. That's my take on Rusev. What the fuck? Am I wrong?
No.
Like, you just named legends. He's on this poster with a bunch of legends because he himself was at that level. Wrestles John Cena at Mania. Now he's playing video games. And it's, oh, come on, guys. I like to have fun. You know, what is a heel anyway? What's a heel? What's a babyface? Stop using those words. You know, my problem is, Tony, I'm so sick of the AEW mentality. This idea that, oh, everything's a big deal because we're all big wrestlers, but nothing's a big deal because wrestling's fake. And the only one who takes it seriously is fucking Cody. And every time he does, it's, I gotta make it seem like it's 1985.
Right.
I'm burnt out on that.
I'm burnt out on all of it. So, yeah.
Like, let's run down the other show, the rest of the show real quick. FTR has the Brush of Greatness 20-minute challenge with...
Didn't even watch it. TH2.
TH2. Tony didn't even watch it. I watched it because it was my job.
You know how much I watched of that? I watched Angelico's entrance because I like the theme and I think it's funny. And then I hit fast forward. I've got the fast forward type of thing where it's like Xfinity's got it where the smart scan, I think is what it's called, where like if you fast forward it and it knows where the commercials are, it just like plays after the commercial. So I just did that. So I don't even like, it's just like, all right, well, whatever. Once I start hearing it play again, it'll just move on. I watched part of the Brian Cage and Will Hobbs match, and I know their mentality is, well, we beat him, but he looked strong in losing, and then we whatever. And I don't disagree with it.
He had to lose because you fucking buried Cage right off the bat, so he had to beat somebody.
Because they do the same thing that they've done from the very start with this company. It's you bring somebody in, you push them as the biggest thing, they fight the world champion, they lose, and then, okay, well, we'll figure out how to build them back up. They did it for like 8 people. The only person that they didn't do that with is Jon Moxley, and that's because he's, the biggest deal. Well, and Jericho, but you know what I mean.
So, hold on. So the Will Hobbs thing, then Taz is like, hey, brother, you can be in Team Taz because you're a badass. And of course he's going to do it. He's going to turn on Darby Allin. I can see that coming a mile away, and I'm all right with that because Will Hobbs should be in Team Taz. But I want to get back to the 20 minutes of greatness thing. They win, obviously. FTR wins with the Powerplex from the Power and Glory finisher, the suplex, the splash. The Young Bucks are watching this match on a monitor. Matt Jackson spends half the time watching it backwards because we're going to do the WWE thing, but we're going to do it extra because we're extra. They super kick a cameraman. And I said this on the Fightful podcast, and you'll appreciate this. I said, these elite baby faces do nothing but project their insecurities. You laugh. Hangman is a drunk because he's feeling sorry for himself. The Young Bucks are just like, oh, we're going to beat everybody up because we're mad. Why are you mad? We're not really sure, but we're mad. Okay? And then Kenny's
already done that whole story of him being like, am I a failure? And I'm,
And then, but like Kenny's doing the thing now where he's like, well, I'm over my relationship with Adam Page, and I'm moving on with my life. And, they announced the tournament, got 3 extra people, Colt Cabana, Wardlow, and Adam Page. And Kenny's like, yeah, Adam Page is a tag team guy who maybe has some interest in this belt. And it doesn't even bother me. Like, have you ever been in a bad breakup where you're just like, yeah, she's fucking some other guy? That totally doesn't even bother me, though. Bitch. Like, How hard do you have to project? Like, I just want to put them all in therapy.
Well, that's how it's gonna work out. Is eventually they're gonna have the AEW, whatever casino related term that they can use that means therapy. Gambling addiction, maybe something like that. And then they'll just all sit down and they'll bring Scorpio Sky in because he was a part of the whole Dr. Shelby thing.
Oh my god,
And
Harold.
he'll be like, I learned some lessons from my time in therapy. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, and then
That I would appreciate because Harold was great. Daniel Bryan let him drop with the trust fall. I thought that was one of the funniest segments of the decade. But yeah, like these guys, and somebody was like, well, Rob said he liked the show, but it sounds like he's just complaining about it. He must have hated it. I don't hate it. I'm over these tropes. This company's only been around a year, and they already have tropes. It's not good.
What else we had on here? We had Big Swole beat Serena Deeb. They talk a lot about Serena Deeb as if she's like one of the best that's ever like laced a pair of boots. I don't see it.
For that company, she is.
Yeah, it's true. Jericho and Hager beat Chaos Project.
Big Swole gets her title match next week. Very cool.
Oh, I skipped over that.
Friends. Jesus, Tony. Best friends get their title match next week.
Yeah, TNT titles on the line too. Orange Cassidy's gonna fight Cody.
He's gonna beat him.
You think?
He's gonna beat him.
Should have just had him beat Brody Lee then.
Well, no, that would make Brody Lee look weak.
But then we had, I think, the most interesting thing of the night.
Well, hold on. No. Luther sucks.
I was like, wait a minute, you think something else was interesting? And then when you're like Luther, I'm like, really? You're gonna say Luther's right? Okay, look,
Luther sucks. I've listened to this man on Jericho's podcasts. I like their vibe on the podcast, right? They're clearly two old friends. It'd be like me and you talking in 30 years. You know what I mean? But this guy sucks. God, he hit the ropes like he was out of breath. I didn't understand it, Tony. Did you watch the match? I'm sure you didn't.
But no, I didn't.
Come on.
I have not seen a good Luther match. And I don't think that he's got anything going for him that I really would understand. I think that he's one of those names that people probably boost up multiple levels more than way he should be. Maybe he's a nice guy. I don't know. I never met the guy, but whatever. But like to me, he strikes me as indie dude really likes the Undertaker and Mankind and all that and wants to make his own thing.
Well, no, like the whole Japanese Deathmatch Legend thing is a joke, but it's not a joke. Like he was a big deal in FMW and those companies 20 years ago. But you can't just plug him in to American television and be like, oh, this guy's great. When he's out of breath, hitting the ropes. I was just like, oh, I hope I never see this again. Go ahead, because I knew you want to talk about the MJF thing, which was probably
that was the best part. It's MJF.
It shouldn't have closed the show, though.
No, but then again, this company likes when they laugh at themselves and when they go like, "Oh, you're in on the joke, aren't you?" Like that kind of thing. And that's how this ended because they tried to do what was essentially kind of like a "this is your life," this whatever kind of thing. Not really, but it's like MJF's got like a gift for Jericho, and it's a clown, and he's giving him a painting of himself and whatever, and they have this little awkward tension moment where he says he hates clowns and whatever. So they kept that going. But to me, the most interesting part about the whole thing was literally the end credits popping up and saying that Jericho had done everything, and they had basically like that SNL ending. So my favorite part of the entire show was the last 10 seconds of the show.
See, and I disagree. Like, I was like, okay, you didn't need to end this match with the shitty Luther match when you had a banger dog collar match that should have headlined the show. But you didn't do that because indulgence. And, hey, isn't it funny that Chris Jericho did everything? Come on. Like, you're laughing because I think it's been a while since you've heard me get hot at TV show, but it's just so fucking stupid. It is so dumb. God, like, honestly, you had a great dog collar match. You could have ended the show there. The rest of the show could have been dedicated to Jericho. I like that you had, Paul Stanley of Kiss and Steel Panther say things. I'm sure you skipped over all of that. And I'm sure you skipped over the fact that Hiroshi Tanahashi of New Japan Pro Wrestling said, "Congratulations on 30 years," leading people to be like, "Oh,
I watched that.
They're gonna work with them." Ultimo Dragon, that was cool. I like Ultimo.
I watched the Tanahashi thing and I was like, "Oh, hey, I know Tanahashi."
Yeah, you do.
And then I was like, "All right, fast forward." Like, it's kinda... There's too much fucking wrestling. That's the thing, and I hate that AEW is one of the shows that I skip past while I watch something like an NXT UK. But it's like,
see, I think you need to reverse that order.
But because nobody's like doing the NXT UK side of things, I mean, we've got Matt on the website for here, but I'm doing it for elsewhere. So it's like I gotta watch it because nobody else is gonna fill in for me. Whereas once it comes down to AEW, I'm like, all right, I'm just fucking tired of it on Wednesdays. It'd be a lot better if they just, again, if you merge some ideas. You don't need 205 Live at all, and you don't need Main Event. I don't watch Main Event, but you don't need both of those shows, and you don't need like Talking Smack and all that stuff. So just get rid of some of these things, makes it a little bit easier for me.
It's the 200th episode of 205 Live tonight, and you're gonna say such blasphemy? Like, we don't need 205 Live? We don't need Ashanti the Adonis?
That's it's their grand old 200th episode of 205 Live, and the special festivities are Adonis against Lee Brian Kendrick for the third time, and Arya Daivari against Jake Atlas, and it ends in a DQ because Tony's niece comes out. Tony Atlas came out, it would have been a different story. But it's like, okay, so your 200th episode is a normal episode. You didn't bother. But hey, it's in the Capitol Wrestling Center. It doesn't matter. Just goes to show you, nobody cares about that. And for that matter, NXT UK, shitty episode.
I heard Pete Dunne is going to wrestle this next week. I might actually watch it.
You know how that was decided? So, Sid Scala is backstage with Pete Dunne. Ilya Dragunov comes over and he goes, "Hey, I want Walter and I want Alexander Wolf." And Scala goes, "Okay, but if you're going to fight them, who's your tag team partner going to be?" And Dragunov literally goes, "Him," and points to Pete Dunne. And Pete Dunne goes, "All right."
I mean, yes.
It's just like, so I want a match. All right, you got a match. Who do you want as a partner? I don't know. This guy? What do you think? Sure.
Yes.
All right. There you go. And then they're like, "Breaking news! It's gonna be a tag team match, and Volta is gonna be." And I'm like, "Okay."
Why are you talking like that?
Yeah, I was actually doing like the whole, like my hands were all up in the air and stuff too, like full on Kermit the Frog. "Breaking news! It's all shit. Everything's going fucking crazy." I'm Andy Shepherd. I like Andy Shepherd. But I mean, this episode sucked. It was Xia Brookside and Danny Luna beat Nina Samuels and Amal. I think it's Amal. Amali. I think that's a male. I think it's a male.
No, they're in the women's division. Never mind.
I was gonna make a joke. I was like, "It's a male. It's a bird. It's a plane." Like, it's one of those. But no, I didn't know that a male was a heel, and I guess she's a heel. But now she's fighting with the other heel that she was teaming with because Nina Samuels left. But then they all brawled at the end because that ended with Kaylee Ray having a State of the Union address, which of course is my favorite thing in the world, is when you give Kaylee Ray a microphone. And she just says like, NXT UK and whatever, and then they move on and everybody comes out and fights, and that ended terribly. I have to work on my my Kaylee Ray impression and get something going, because at some point I'm gonna do some kind of thing and you're gonna be like, "God damn, that's how you imagine her," and I'm like, "Yeah." Saxon Huxley, there he went. He beat Jack Stars.
There he went. Yeah, sure.
That's his like catchphrase. There he goes.
It's not.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
It's been a while that he's had this catchphrase, and it's finally like it's kind of clicking for me, oddly enough. So it's been last year or so is when they started pitching out this idea that, like, you know how it's like, oh, it's boss time for Sasha Banks, and like, the Braun Strowman comes out, and you got the train, and you got like, oh, the King of Claymore country is going to come out, and 1, 2, 3 Claymore, or whatever like that, 3, 2, 1 Claymore. They just decided somewhere along the lines that they were going to approach Saxon Huxley as, there he goes, Saxon Huxley, something like that. Let me just Google it real quick so I don't know, so I don't say the wrong thing. I'm almost positive it's there he goes. There goes Saxon Huxley. And I did not, for the longest time, understand what in the fuck that meant until a week or so ago when they had this setup going on, and I'm like, oh, he's going for like this folklore type of thing, like some kind of you say Candyman in the mirror 3 times and he'll come and kill you kind of a thing. And like they're going for this whole like, there goes this mythical Saxon Huxley drifter evil type of guy or whatever, and I'm like, I kind of like it a little bit. It's just fucking awkward. So it's like he's in this match beating up Jack Stars because Jack Stars was like, hey, tough break when Saxon Huxley lost to Walter the other week. So he's beating the shit out of him, whatever. And Huxley literally says, there he goes in the match about himself. And I'm just like, oh God, this is terrible. But that happened.
All I can think of is Sixpence None the Richer. There he goes.
Saxon Huxley. Pretty Deadly was asked, like, hey, what do you think about Eddie Dennis? Because Eddie Dennis was kind of just saying some stuff to them, like, I guess he's going to be a manager or whatever. And they pulled out the old 90s thing of none ya business. So that's come around to the UK, I guess, right now.
Oh boy, none your business. Can we bring that back? We're talking about bringing back 90s things. Can we
right.
bring back none ya? That hurts my heart.
Not until we get Psych in there. Just like, I really loved the A-Kid against Flash Morgan Webster match. Psych!
Psych!
Andy Shepard's like, oh!
I'm Andy Shepard.
I am Andy Shepard. NXT UK. Nice guy, it seems.
God, it doesn't even sound like it's NXT okay.
What quick thing. What movie is this from? It's a very obscure kind of course, this could be a million movies type of things, but where somebody goes, nice guy.
I don't know. That could be literally anything.
It's the same movie that has the line "Hot Ice" in it.
Rookie of the Year?
Rookie of the Year, yeah. Nice guy. Anyway, NXT, we got the Rich Holland stuff we got going on. Austin Theory beats Leon Ruff, and then Dexter Lumis comes out, rolls around the ring, beats Austin Theory, and then gets attacked by Cameron Grimes afterwards.
I have an issue with this, because why the fuck did Austin Theory have to wrestle Dexter Lumis?
Because Lumis came out. That's their rationalization. He comes out, and Austin Theory's like, oh yeah, well, ding, ding, ding. Okay.
Sure.
I think the biggest problem was Cameron Grimes was part of it. Cameron Grimes. I'm liking him more and more just because of how fucking obnoxious he is.
Well, he stepped into the mood, Tony.
Like, I don't want him to win any championships or anything, but he's gotten past the point where it started off as, oh, I don't like this guy, and then it becomes, I really don't fucking like this guy, and then it becomes, I don't like this guy, so I like this guy. Like, Dolph Ziggler had a little bit of that going on at first. I was like, who's this chode that's just like shaking people's hands?
Hi, I'm Dolph Ziggler.
And then a couple weeks later, I'm like, all right, I want this guy to beat Batista. It's taking a little bit longer with Cameron Grimes, but I'm coming around a little bit.
Yeah, he's got a job there forever. He'll be the new Heath Slater.
Oh, totally. I could definitely see him being in that kind of capacity. Tommaso Ciampa beat Kushida by DQ because Velveteen Dream interfered, and
this was a miss. Wow, you had a chance to fucking let Velveteen Dream just rest, or maybe even call him up. You said he was injured, broken arm, and he just comes out.
See, I thought you were going to say it's a miss because he missed and he hit Tommaso Ciampa.
Oh no, he definitely missed and hit Tommaso Ciampa. And I'm not even sure if I want to see the inevitable Ciampa Dream match.
It's a dream match.
I knew you were going to do that. Like the words left my mouth, and I was like, oh no.
It's setting me up. It's a softball. I got to hit it. Also about a miss when it comes to this, people, you got to relax a little bit. Kushida did not turn heel. Multiple people have been still saying this, and they keep going, yeah, but it's on Wikipedia and whatever. I don't know who's editing the Wikipedia. Kushida did not turn heel. Velveteen Dream is a heel who started a fight with Kushida, and Kushida was hanging on afterward. It's kind of a, jerk thing to do, but it's payback a little bit. And then he's in a match with a heel Tommaso Ciampa, and a heel Velveteen Dream interferes and does that. Kushida is in no means a heel. Velveteen Dream is not a babyface. Tommaso Ciampa is not a babyface. Gotta relax, everybody.
Shades of gray. Shades of gray. Everybody's a heel. Everybody's a babyface.
What was the 50 Shades of Grey thing?
50 Shades Fred?
Fred, that's what it was. Yeah. Oh, I love you, sweetie.
Yeah,
Ember Moon cut a promo. Io Shirai came out. Rhea Ripley came out. Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez came out. And William Regal came out. And he was just like, fuck it, tag team match.
I thought of you. Because on Sunday we were just like, walking.
It's War Games. It's just, there's like a Skype chat or something, a Zoom thing going on in WWE someday. And it's just like, William Regal pops up and he's just like, War Games. And Andy Shepherd's like, I'm Andy Shepherd. And then he goes, Cameron Grimes. This is gonna be one of those hot tags, isn't it? It's been one of them already.
Yeah. I like this Ember Moon promo. She fully called herself out within 5 seconds of saying the phrase Ember's Law.
Yeah.
And then she said the word God damn it in the most unintimidating way, but that's okay. I'm just glad that she's being utilized.
Better to say that than to say consarn it or something.
Dang!
Yeah, if she would have said dag, it would have been better.
Oh god.
New Day's back. They can pull off dag.
They absolutely can. I like this. I like the NXT Women's Division. I did get a little sad when William Regal just was like, it's a tag team match, but brownie points. Because Triple H immediately went to Twitter and was like, yeah, how's that for a main event, playa? Holla, holla, holla.
That's good.
Fucking great.
It's like, Dakota and Raquel, you want a match? You got one. You were going one-on-one with The Undertaker.
Yeah.
Adam Cole and the Undisputed Era said they're going to get back at Ridge Holland. So they put a curse on his knee.
They did. There you go. They got in contact with Papa Shango, you see? They put a curse on his knee, and now they are hanging out at the Godfather's Nevada, Ho Lounge or whatever he calls it.
That needs to be a thing now because now they've got Halloween Havoc in NXT. We need Papa Shango.
They can get him.
And he needs to come out to the Boogeyman theme that we were singing a few years ago on this podcast, where the lyrics are all replaced by just Papa Shango. So it's just Papa Shango, Papa Shango, Papa Shango. New theme. I like it. I also like the fact that Drake Maverick really, really wants to be a tag team with Killian Dane, and I thought it was kind of funny. He's like, I got a tag team match, whatever, and he's like, you're not getting my phone number. We're not a tag team. And it's over the top. It's stupid. But he picks his own theme song for the two of them, and it's this way over the top, like practically could be a Firefly Funhouse type of theme. And Killian Dean's just like, no, fuck this, whatever. They win their match against Everrise, and Dane knocks out Drake Maverick afterward, and then Dane picks him up and walks away with him. So,
and then Drake Maverick is like, "It worked,
right?
It worked. He likes it, yeah."
I like
Drake
that.
Maverick is great.
He's so good.
He's one of the best character performers in the history of wrestling. I think, like, him and Regal are right up there on the underrated side of things. This theme song, Tony, let's talk about it.
It's better than some of the other theme songs that we've been hearing a lot lately.
This whistling. And now, on the Fightful chat, they love this. I hear the Enzyte commercials. Do you know what I mean when I say Enzyte commercials? Do you remember maybe like mid 2000s? There were these commercials for these dick pills with Smiling Bob.
No, not.
Oh God, I gotta send this to
ringing
you.
any bells.
But when I hear this whistling, all I can think of is a mid 2000s.
Wait! I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It shows like an actual, like a regular guy, and he's just smiling a lot. Yep. It's not like a cartoon or anything.
No, it's a regular guy.
It's just implying that he's like super happy because his dick works again.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I know what you're talking about. I don't remember the song, but this sounds a little familiar once you started saying about this.
And that is all I hear. In fact, I'm gonna send you a Smiling Bob commercial because why this popped into my head, I don't know. But now I think of his dick pills when I hear that whistling.
Well, that would be the worst tag team name for Dane and Maverick.
The dick pills?
Yeah. Be like, and the new tag team champions, the dick pills.
Honestly, when Drake Maverick was naked with the 24/7 title on him, he looked very much like a Smiling Bob. I just sent it to you so you can hear what I hear.
Well, I can't do it right now because it'll pop up on the podcast.
Right. It will pop up, and that would be good.
And I'll get demonetized. If you want to make sure I don't get demonetized, donate to the Patreon.
That's right.
Maybe I'll put something up on Twitter or something afterward. What else happened on this show? Shotzi Blackheart beat Xia Li, and Xia Li was approached by Boa afterward, and he handed her some sort of a letter. It was in Chinese, and they didn't clarify what it was. But I guess Boa's more of a manager now. It's kind of weird.
Well, she seems so sad by this letter, right? And I assume that the letter stated that Ho Ho Loon was coming back, and you just, like.
I don't know how many times you've brought up Ho Ho Loon, but it's way more times than I've thought about Ho Ho Loon.
How can you not think of that Ho Ho Loon? First of all, that name is just ridiculous.
I've always been more of a Cosmic Brownie, or the Ho Ho's not my main thing.
No ring dings, no ding dong, hellos.
They're all the same, but they're all actually. I tried one of them I had not that long ago, a couple months ago. I think it was the ring dings. I tried one of those boxes and I was just like, this is terrible. And then I tried one of the other ones that's like exactly the same, like the yodels or something, where it's like literally the same ingredients and it tasted totally different. So I don't know what's going on with those ring dings, or the ding dongs, or
been a fan of them.
The ring kings, or whatever the fuck they are.
I've never actually been a fan of them. They're very basic. Like, hey, these were like 50 cents a pop, so yeah. I bought a bunch of them.
Give me the butterscotch crimpets instead. Those are good. Chocolate Juniors, those kind of things. Ripley and Moon beat Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez. Indy Hartwell gave the Garganos a new TV.
Do you believe that in this long-term storytelling here, where she left a USB inside the television that basically just shows her saving Candace in the Battle Royal?
Not the biggest fan.
I like Indy Hartwell, so I'm glad they're using her.
And on the Monday night
Retribution.
Yeah, let's talk about the Monday Night Raw side of things. Retribution was a part of the night, in some fashion, and
Yes.
it's arguably the biggest story that came out of that whole thing. It's we could bounce around with some of the other topics, like Drew Gulak won the 24/7 title. He dropped it back to R-Truth. The same shit happens every single week, so who cares?
Oh, but I did enjoy the fact that they clearly could not get into position for a pinfall, so they all just got in the dumpster, and the referee's like, "Yeah, 3 count. It's R-Truth again." They're up to 42. 42 championship wins for him.
He at this point he's won more championships than anybody else in the history of the company, right?
Yep.
Like just flat out, nobody's won any more titles.
Absolutely not.
That's insane.
He's R-Truth. He's a vampire. He deserves it.
That is true. I mean, he does look like he's pretty much in the same shape as he was 20 years something years ago. McIntyre has a whole thing going on. Andy Rose, Dana Brooke, and Asuka won a 6-woman tag.
Andy Rose?
No, I said Mandy, right?
No, you said Andy.
Andy Rose, Mandy Rose, whatever. A name by Rose by any other name, whatever.
There you go.
Let's see what else we got going on here.
Team.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. We had Seth Rollins and Murphy against Carrillo and Dominic Mysterio again. Murphy turns on Rollins. Of course, they waited an hour for it because you got to make everything. You got to make everything 2 segments at the very least these days. That's just the best thing in the world, right? I don't know if I really am super into that. We'll talk more about that in a minute or so when it comes to the draft. Keith Lee and Braun Strowman, that ended in a double count out. Didn't see that coming, did you?
Oh no, how they weren't actually gonna have a match. I mean, what is this, a wrestling show?
What is this, a non-Keith Lee match?
By the way, did you know that Braun Strowman's getting a title match on SmackDown next week?
SmackDown's all over the place next week. We had Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax. They had beaten down Natalya and Lana, and they also retained the titles against the Riot Squad.
Really glad we had to wait an extra 3 weeks for that.
Yeah, that was amazing. We got Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin beat Ricochet and Apollo Crews, and then Mustafa Ali said that he wanted to fight MVP. And later on in the night, that match happens. And we end up getting the biggest reveal out of the whole thing, which is that Retribution is run by Mustafa Ali.
I'm good with it. I'm so good with it. It's the best thing they've done on Raw in a long time.
It's the only move so far in Retribution that I've liked.
As all you gotta do is be like, yep, I was this hacker, and I told you we were all watching you. That was Retribution. You've stumbled onto something to where you can be like, oh,
that was the plan all along. You know.
Yeah.
Oh, I tell you guys we should believe in long-term storylines. Yeah, that kind of thing. Meanwhile, they're sitting there going, oh, God, I hope that they buy that. You know, it was a little weird to see him standing next to Dio Madden and Dominic Dijakovic and looking kind of small. But then again, he's the leader of the thing. He doesn't have to be the biggest and most powerful and whatever. That's why henchmen exist in the Bond films. They're not it's not like Elliot Carver is the main physical threat in Tomorrow Never Dies. But I wonder why I went with Tomorrow Never Dies there, out of all the Bond films. Huh. But I like the Mustafa Ali connection there, and I'm really, really hoping that they don't rename him something stupid.
No, he'll be Blackout.
Well, he might be Retaliation because they have the trademark, and now it seems even more so that they kicked out Mercedes Martinez.
Well, no, because here's where it gets real confusing, folks. The draft pool literally says Retribution, and it says Ali, Reckoning, Mace, T-Bar, Slapjack, and Retaliation. So they don't know what they're doing.
But the draft pool also says that tag teams are going to be drafted together if they don't want to necessarily be drafted separately. They also said that, hey, these are the people that are going to be on the draft thing. And then turns out that that's not going to be the case for some things. They also added somebody tonight. They don't care.
But isn't it exciting?
It's weird that they've had more than one thing on Twitter where they've shown all the members of Retribution except for Martinez. That's been like, I think 3 things at this point. So I'm thinking that that's the case and that they might have put Martinez back down in NXT. I don't really necessarily agree with that. If she ends up being the next champion in NXT, then that's cool. But if she just got kicked out for something stupid, then that's annoying. Then again, maybe it's the best thing for her. I don't know.
Robert Stone brand is what I want to know.
So I like the idea of Mustafa Ali heading up Retribution. I think that they can mess it up. Of course, they can mess anything up. And
showing a lot of confidence in them there, Tony.
Yeah, well, they've given me a reason to think that, right? At least it's something where it's like, hey, maybe they're going to work in the right direction here instead of, oh, they've already messed it up. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I am hoping for the best. I think that there's some potential here, some serious potential of doing some fun stuff. And I guess we're going to see how that plays out with the draft in particular, because SmackDown for tonight, we had an opening with Stephanie McMahon. She's the one announcing the draft picks the way that she did last year. And she announces in this order. She goes, let me bring up the whole draft thing here. She goes, for the block 1, round 1, whatever you want to call it, Raw gets 3 picks for every 2 of SmackDown, same as last time. So it's Raw, SmackDown, Raw for each of these blocks. Drew McIntyre goes to, they kept using the phrase goes to, even though they're staying. Drew McIntyre goes to Monday Night Raw. Makes sense. He's champion there. Of course, makes even more sense. SmackDown immediately afterward drafts Roman Reigns, so you've got a world champion on both shows. Okay. Asuka goes to Monday Night Raw. She's the Raw Women's Champion. No brainer. SmackDown goes for Seth Rollins. And they make a big deal. They go, wow, this is the first move of the night. And the first thing that he says is that he gets away from the Mysterio family. And I'm like, yes. I'll go back to that.
I thought for a second, for what was it, an hour maybe? I was like, oh, so they're backing their way out of this Aaliyah thing by just ending it. I like it. Cool.
Yep.
No.
So Raw drafted the Hurt Business, and they get, of course, Bobby Lashley, Shelton Benjamin, Cedric Alexander, and MVP. It's a hell of a draft move, when you stick it all that.
Wouldn't that be your first pick if you get 4 guys?
I mean, 4 good talents like that,
and it
makes sense that they're up on that the high end of things. Block 2 is AJ Styles to Monday Night Raw, Sasha Banks to SmackDown, Naomi to Raw, Bianca Belair to SmackDown.
I hated this.
And Jackson Baszler to Raw.
I hated that. I'm like, oh, cool. Naomi to Raw. She can team with Bianca. Very next move. Bianca to SmackDown. Never mind that.
Well, we'll talk about that in a minute too. In the meantime, what we had gotten was Big E won the Falls Count Anywhere match against Sheamus, and we got the return of Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods backstage. Jey Uso had a promo. He asked Roman Reigns what the stipulation for their match was, and it's going to be a Hell in a Cell I Quit match.
I love it.
It's kind of neat. I don't know if it's going to be the best stipulation, but okay. I'm kind of like, okay, I'll check it out. Obviously, I'm going to check it out. I'm going to watch the freaking show. But AJ Styles.
You have to watch these things?
Yeah. AJ Styles talked a little bit about how he was offended that he wasn't the number 1 pick. That's a good little thing. Jeff Hardy and Matt Riddle teamed up. They beat The Miz and John Morrison. And then we got the return of Lars Sullivan, who beat up everybody. And I wrote down in my notes, and I was going through things. I'm like, all right, so we drafted Mandy Rose to Raw, and then we drafted Dana Brooke to Raw, and then we had, keeping in mind this is the whole once a quarter somebody can go between the rosters, and then we just keep doing it more than once a quarter. Braun Strowman's been a part of Monday Night Raw for a couple weeks, and we got Kevin Owens popping up on SmackDown and whatever is going on, and you got the SmackDown Tag Team Champions going on Raw to fight the Street Profits. It doesn't really matter. It's just they're ignoring their own rules. But Lars Sullivan pops up, and it's like, okay, well, he's now back, and he's not a draft pick, and that doesn't make any sense. Then Stephanie clarifies. She says, well, Sullivan's back, so he's going to be added to the Monday night pool to pick from. So I'm like, all right, let me go on my list. Let me add Lars Sullivan to everybody, thing like that. Whatever, Not a big fan of the fact that Lars Sullivan is back. I don't think that he has too much to offer. I think that I would have been better with maybe somebody else being rehired or some other people just getting paid a little bit more or something.
Well, it's happening, so let's get on board. I like Lars Sullivan's style, so maybe it'll be fun.
I don't think he's got much to do on SmackDown if they keep him there, but we'll figure out if he stays there.
Raw Underground.
That's where I would want him to go. They made a big deal throughout the night as well, at the very beginning of the night, I should say, not throughout the night, that if the championships go over, they stay where they are. It's just like you send somebody on that brand, the title goes with them. That's how it goes. It's not like they relinquish the titles. So when they did that, I'm sitting there going, okay, well, they're going to do something with this. They never say something like that unless they're planning on doing something, and they haven't done anything yet. Now they're throwing Lars Sullivan in here. So they're just all over the place. But then they announced, oh, we got a tag team title match happening tonight. And I'm like, all right, we know what's happening.
And wasn't it fun to hear Stephanie McMahon say, "Ya boys, the New Day"?
So we got a couple more draft picks. Ricochet goes to Raw, or stays on Raw. Jey Uso stays on SmackDown. Mandy Rose stays on Raw because she was already drafted there anyway a couple weeks ago. And we get Dominic and Rey Mysterio go to SmackDown. And I go, God damn it. Dag, yo. It's just... Because that means, and of course they had them talking about it afterward. They're like, yeah, Seth Rollins thought that he was done with us, but now we're back on the same brand as him. And I'm like, I thought that we were done with this. Come on.
It actually made me feel like Seth was the babyface. Because he's like, yeah, I get to move on with my life now. They're like, not today, bitch. We're always going to be here.
Miz and John Morrison go over to Raw. Later on in the night, we got that whole thing where Otis was supposed to be defending his Money in the Bank briefcase in court, and they said that no, they decided to delay it. Well, of course, we know the reason why. It's because they overbooked. Now. They'll do it on Raw. Yeah, they'll have something going on there, or they'll just wait until next week. They just overbooked tonight, I think. Sasha Banks fights Bayley for the SmackDown Women's Championship, and Bayley gets herself DQ'd. So we're getting...
Good news is Sasha Banks stays on SmackDown, and Tony does not get his wish of having this thing end in one shot.
Well, at least they said she's challenged Bayley to a Hell in a Cell match. Of course, Bayley hasn't responded yet, but they're not going to go, no. And just not have it happen. That's not how that works. So it would be kind of funny if that was the case. Just nah. And then everybody's like, boo. And it's like, but no, screw that. I already defended my title. No, I'll wait 30 days. And then they just do that.
That'd be amazing.
But that should be the end of this at Hell in a Cell. I'll talk more about that when we get into our predictions.
That's what you think.
New Day wins the SmackDown Tag Team Championship.
And nothing happened at the end of the night.
Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods are out there. They're celebrating. Big E comes out to celebrate with them. And they announce the first of the next round of the draft picks. Kofi and Xavier go to Raw, and Big E stays on SmackDown. Then they go, oh, by the way, Dana Brooke is still on Raw. Otis is still on SmackDown. Tucker not drafted. And Angel Garza is still on Raw. And that's their last picks of the night. So at this point, then of course we had the Fiend beat Kevin Owens. Who fucking cares?
But it was like 9:15 when they announced that.
which is just crazy to me. And
Do you want the rest of the draft picks?
I wanted the rest of them.
Do you? I mean, I'm asking you if you want them now. I know what they are.
Yeah.
Well, according to Fightful Select,
Well, they didn't do that yet because they didn't do Talking Smack, right?
yeah.
But I mean, obviously, this insider information.
Yes. So according to Fightful Select, here's how it goes: Carrillo to SmackDown. I wonder why. Buddy Murphy to SmackDown. I wonder why. Hey.
God damn it! Really?
And Tucker and Gulak and oh no, I'm sorry. Tucker, Gulak, and Carrillo stay on Raw, and Murphy and Kalisto.
Wait, Gulak goes to Raw.
Gulak goes to Raw
instead of staying on there. Tucker.
Carrillo stays on Raw. Tucker goes to Raw. Murphy goes to SmackDown. Kalisto goes to SmackDown, or stays on SmackDown.
You are all over the place. You got to run these over again. Drew Gulak, where does he go?
Raw.
Elias.
There's no Elias.
He's on the list.
Was he on the list for today?
It's Drew Gulak, Elias, Humberto Carrillo, who you said stays on Raw.
He stays on Raw, yeah.
Lucha House Party.
Kalisto specifically SmackDown.
Mickey James.
Not mentioned.
Murphy.
SmackDown.
Shorty G.
Not mentioned.
And Tucker.
Raw.
So they split. If that's true, which, I mean, who knows the way the WWE is, they could be putting out some weird information or something. If that's true, then what they've got going on here is they've split up. Unless, well, I mean, they've split up Naomi and Jey Uso, so that means that Jimmy Uso is either going to go with his brother or his wife. So the Usos or Naomi and Jimmy Uso are split up. It's either a married couple or a tag team is split up. We've got her business is all together. Bianca Belair, it doesn't seem like it makes a whole lot of sense for Bianca Belair to go to SmackDown and for the Street Profits to go there. But the fact that they're the Raw Tag Team Champions doesn't mean anything because we got the SmackDown Tag Team Champions on Raw. And the New Day is split up.
So what do they do in that case?
And Heavy Machinery is split up. Yet
what do they do in the case of the tag titles? They're just like, okay, color swap with the belts.
It doesn't make any sense to have the SmackDown Tag Team Champions on Raw. So I'm thinking there's two things. Well, there's potentially three ways that this goes down. Actually, I don't know. Maybe there's four. It kind of sort of depends here. One thing is they literally just want to get people talking. And they just plan on having the Raw champs on SmackDown and the SmackDown tag champs on Raw. And wouldn't that be funny?
That'd be
stupid as all hell.
Bad word, kids.
It would be. And I think that there's a chance that that's what they're literally going for. If just
Tony,
that'll get people talking. That's a chance because I'm like, you know what? Bianca Belair's on SmackDown and the Raw Tag Team Champions. One of them's married to her.
Shut up.
It's just, you know, and I don't want that. I don't want that to happen because part of the thing that I was thinking was, oh, the Miz and John Morrison are on Raw now. They can feud with the Street Profits. And if the Street Profits leave, then they can't do that feud. And then we're just back to the New Day again, which we've already seen that feud.
Is the New Day defending the belts next week against?
No. The New Day's in a 6-man tag against
they're in a 6-man, yeah, okay.
Sheamus and Artist Collective. But
stupid.
So maybe they just want to do it for the sake of it makes them laugh.
No.
Maybe they plan on doing some kind of title unification.
Please.
Which that could happen at Survivor Series. And they just, in the meantime, LOL, the Raw and the SmackDown tag titles are flipped. Maybe the titles change hands in the meantime. Like maybe they do some kind of weird thing where like a Raw tag team challenges the New Day on Monday night. and they beat the New Day for the tag titles.
And
then they get drafted over. Because they've done shit like that before. They did that with Jinder Mahal, I think it was, and Jeff Hardy. And I think it was like the United States Championship or something. Where it's like somebody went over to the roster and then somebody else beat that person and then they went to the other roster.
Yeah, but it never with the belts named after the other brand, though.
Didn't they do something with the Raw Women's title or something?
Maybe with the US title, but not with like the titles that are named for the brands.
I thought that they did that for like one of the women's tag titles or something, or not the women's tag titles, the women's titles.
With the Charlotte and Bailey?
Might have been. Yeah, it might have been that. You know, I think it was, because I think that was that they had carried that over into a pay-per-view. Which they might do that too for this. They might say like the draft really goes into effect after Hell in a Cell. And then they have like some Raw tag team title match against the New Day or something. But we have heard that they have new tag team titles. And I mean, there's a chance that they do a tag team title unification.
And then the champions can just go over brands.
Mm-hmm.
I think the draft is dumb. I think brand splits are dumb when they're done poorly.
I think that it's dumb when they do something that seems like they're doing it just to pop themselves. Like, I really feel like they have no plans for the New Day. I think that this was literally, wouldn't it be interesting if, and then somebody suggested something, and then somebody else said, yeah. And then they went, well, and then what? And then somebody said, well, we'll figure it out. Because that's WWE's mentality a lot of times is, we'll figure it out. And then when they don't figure it out, they go, well, plans change, motherfucker. And then they get all mad with you because you're like, hey, remember how you said that this was going to be a really like cool way that you were going to put Braun Strowman in there? And then they go, yeah, well, we didn't. Why are you mad at me? It's typical WWE. It's, we'll promise you the world, and if we don't deliver, then forgive us. And forget about it. And then we'll tell you that it happened, and you'll just try to have to believe what we said, because we'll say it's the best thing ever. They want everybody with short-term memory loss and all that stuff, obviously. But,
I mean, like, let's just real quickly, I guess, round out the night. Braun Strowman's going to challenge Roman Reigns next week. For what reason, I don't know.
To lose.
I did... no shit, Tony, but, like, why is it even happening?
Because they love putting Braun Strowman in title matches where he can lose.
I guess.
Somebody in WWE looks at a guy like a Braun Strowman and they go, if so-and-so beats him, they will look good because he's big. And then somebody should be going, yeah, but he always loses like that. And even when we gave him the championship, we didn't really push him all that much. And we kind of had him as like a transitional half-ass champion. And then they go, yeah, well, fucking whatever. And then they go, it's the same argument all the time. It's just, yeah, but goddamn it, they'll be mad at me. You know, like they just do that. It's not going to serve a purpose.
It's so stupid.
Now, here's a potential thing. Keith Lee maybe goes to SmackDown. And maybe they have him interfere in the Braun Strowman match.
So then you're splitting up that couple with Keith and Mia.
Yeah.
Unless they decided that the Reckoning is just they're not good enough for Raw, so there'll be a SmackDown angle.
Retribution?
Yeah.
I think they're staying. The Reckoning. Yeah, I had a brain fart because that's Mia Yim's name and they all sound fucking the same.
Yeah, I mean, they all fucking mean the same thing.
Yeah. You know how, like, you ever read, like, somebody's fan fiction and, like, the characters are all named, like, Dark X?
Yep.
It's like that kind of thing. Somebody's like Reckoning and Retaliation and Crowbar and T-Bar and whatever and
the other bar.
Yeah,
we
the
don't
bar.
Set the bar. We are the bar.
Somebody's just like, you know, I'm gonna do it right now. Let's go to Google. Synonym for Retribution.
What are you asking?
Oh, stop it, Google. So they'll go, okay, one of them is punishment, and one of them is penalty, and the other one's judgment and payback and vengeance. And then they're like, oh, we can't do those two because that's our pay-per-views. And then they go, okay, somebody's atonement and poetic justice.
These are the top.
Oh my God, Google, I'm not talking to you. Jesus Christ.
Instead of poetic, it's PJ. What's PJ stand for? Poetic justice.
Right. It's just awful. And it could be that by the time that this draft is over with, we have a better idea of where they're going to go with some of these people in the future. If some of these things that you're talking about are right, even the fact that like Tucker goes to Raw, then that means that they're splitting up Heavy Machinery. So that's another tag team that goes away. That means we will have lost potentially Heavy Machinery, 1/3 of the New Day, the Usos, potentially, maybe Lucha House Party, the Heavy Machinery side of things, maybe Drew Gulak and Daniel Bryan, because if Gulak goes to Raw, then Daniel Bryan
is Bryan
stays.
in the pool?
I don't think he is. Let me double check that.
Yeah, I'm gonna check the Fightful resource.
He is. Yeah, he is.
Okay, good. He's in the Monday pool.
Yeah. So the people that we're missing on these, for anybody who's interested to know about that, we're missing all the
Edge isn't in the pool.
We're missing all the NXT UK, 205 Live people that could potentially get called up. Obviously, it's less likely that somebody like Anthony Green, who was just signed, is going to be brought up, but they always could pull a, hey, look at that, Rhea Ripley's on there, something along those lines. We don't have, let's see here. Becky Lynch. We don't have Big Jordan, who's not really a part of a whole lot of things, so you can't really count him. Big Show, who's not the most active. Bo Dallas, who is just question marks. We don't know what's happening with Bo Dallas. We don't have Brendan Vink, who was brought up to Monday Night Raw and then subsequently just disappeared.
Jack.
Brianna Brandy may still just be popping up on Raw Underground. Let's see here. We got Cameron Grimes. Candy Floss is not going to be Candy Floss anymore. She's going to be Candy Flores. That's the thing. It's a trademark that they did.
Floss better.
Catalina is no longer on the Raw roster, so she doesn't really count. Chelsea Green, question marks about what's going on with her, of course. We still don't have anything on Edge. We know that Ember Moon is on the NXT roster now. People like Emily and Zulis, she's on the Raw Underground and just kind of Performance Center side of things. Obviously, people like Finn Balor. Goldberg is somebody who's just a free agent. They're never going to just draft him because there's no point. Who else we got? Ivar is not listed here because he's injured.
Ivar's out because he'll be out for a while. Jimmy Uso apparently wasn't even in the pool.
No, these are all people that I'm naming that aren't in the pool. Jackson Riker and the other Forgotten Sons are not in the pools.
I guess they were forgotten.
Jessamine Duke and Marina Shafir are not listed in the pools.
Also forgotten.
Even though they were brought on to Monday Night Raw. And everybody's like, oh, what are they doing here? Jinder Mahal is not in the pool. What else we got? Briggs,
They're coming back to 205 Live.
Kaden Carter, Kenny Williams, Killian Dane, Cody Reeves,
Mojo. Poor guy.
Mojo Rawley is not listed on there for whatever reason.
So Mojo and Bo. So Bojo are
Samoa Joe and Mojo and Bo.
Bojo Jojo. Okay, like
Samojo Bo. Ronda Rousey's not listed in there because she's, whatever is going on with her. Somebody like Sari, obviously not the case because she's never done a single thing because COVID. Sonya Deville is not supposed to be active right now, so she's in that mix. Undertaker is not going to get drafted. John Cena is not going to get drafted. And I think that might be it. So, I mean, it's like certain people that are injured are on there, like Angel Garza was tonight. Certain people that are injured aren't on the list. And we know that some people are just sort of question marks, and that they are going to talk about like Elias and all them on Talking Smack. Typical fashion of the whole, let's do this. We're not going to do it all. You got to tune into this extra thing, which you and I have been
So the
complaining
extra
about.
thing will be the thing that we just talked about. And I asked and was told Elias to Monday, and the rest will be free agents.
Mickey James, Shorty G, the rest of Lucha House Party, they're just not going to pick them, even though they've said that they would.
Yep. Well, no, they're not mandated to pick them. If they don't get picked, they can just choose their own brand.
God, I hate that shit. I hate that so fucking much. Because you know what that's for, right?
Yeah.
It's just WWE going, I don't know.
We literally have nothing for you.
Yeah, so it's like, Shorty G, where does he go? I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? We haven't
Why
figured
is
it
he on
out
your
yet.
roster?
What do you mean you haven't figured it out yet? Well, we haven't thought about it. What do you mean you haven't thought about it? Well, we were busy doing other things. Oh, you mean you've got a whole team of writers and you couldn't sit down for 15 minutes and figure out an Excel spreadsheet? We could do it, you know? It's just like, it's not that hard. You have to keep using my phrases. But somebody in WWE subscribes to the J.J. Abrams thing, or the mystery box, for sure, where they just go, I want to set up a mystery and I want people to be wondering why, because if they're wondering, then they're engaged, and isn't that just nice? And it's like, no, that's not what you're supposed to be doing. A good writer.
I think that's honestly mind tricks that they are having played on them from like marketing courses and shit. Oh, but engagement is great. Not if it's negative. Well, that's just not true. All engagement is good engagement. That's simply not the case. No, that's not true. We have fuck.
I mean, for the longest time, people have done the whole, there's no such thing as bad news, because
that's not true.
Everybody can like benefit off of news coverage. And it's like, okay, well, tell that to the people who they lose their careers because it's like, okay, this person's racist or something. You know what I mean? Like, that's bad news. That's bad news coverage. You don't want that. You know, you don't want to have infamy in comparison.
There's no such thing as bad publicity. That's just not true.
Right. And I bet that's the case, that they probably are being told that, and that's probably why they started adopting that whole thing with John Cena and Roman Reigns, where they're just like, it doesn't matter if you boo or you cheer as long as you're making noise. And it's like, well, if the noise is people grabbing a megaphone and saying that they don't want to be a part of this anymore, then is that good? You know, that's.
Hey, WWE said the words racism and COVID-19 on tonight's episode when addressing the fact that Stephanie McMahon is the number one. She's not number one. She's the number one Forbes female CMO. She was number 2, actually. I forget who beat her out, but they flat out lied.
They said who topped the list.
They flat out lied and said number 1. How
many are in attendance, you know?
And then they were just like, yeah, and she stands up to racism and champions women's causes and has kept the high spirits or something like that during COVID-19. And I'm like, huh. So we can say those words when we're blowing smoke up Stephanie's ass. But she's the worst with that marketing shit. It's like, isn't it great? No, it's not. This is awful.
Nothing's great about this. I just can't imagine, like, I don't know. I mean, I've got some things that I'm very particular about, but I can't imagine saying to people, like, you can't use certain words and stuff. I don't think I've ever done that with, like, Smark or Fanboys. I don't think I've ever been like, remember, everybody, you can't refer to this as a blog. You have to refer to it as a whatever. If you use the word blog, I'm going to, like, fire you or whatever. Like,
it's an entertainment website.
It's just like, yeah, you call it a blog, then all right, whatever. If you say that something's a movie instead of a film or something, okay. As long as you're saying, like, words that are real words and you're not screwing up and looking like an idiot. Like, yeah, it's a problem if, like, you have your commentators and they're saying the wrong moves and stuff. But then again, WWE cares more about if it's a hospital or if it's a medical facility. And it's, like, a big problem. Then again, I'm the type of person who would have planned out a draft in advance. So
Well, where's the fun in that?
what do I know? I just, like planning for things and trying to figure out things by logic and trying to sort stuff out and,
And like, listen, I get it. I'm not gonna knock them too hard because this year has sucked. You know, like,
all the more reason to figure out a way to make it better for yourself.
yeah, merge the brands.
Like, if this has been like so bad for you that you can't figure out how to get the creative process going because you don't have many options, the way around it is to go, okay, well then how do we make sure that we've got backup plans? And you actually you put in the work and the effort and you figure things out. You don't just go, that's it's been annoying and I don't want to do it. Because, by that rationale, every time that somebody says, oh man, there's like still so much work that needs to be done and I don't want to do it, it'll get done. It doesn't. You have to do the work.
Yeah, Cody, do the work.
So I'm the type of person that says, oh, if I'm not going to make as much money, let me try to figure out how I can get that money back. Not, guess I'll spend more, that kind of thing. We'll see how this works, though. Of course, the draft is not over. It's got some extra draft things that are happening with Talking Smack. We'll get the clarification about that being 100% true once that airs. Then on Monday night, we've got the other pool, which may or may not be the entirety. I assume it probably isn't. Last year,
then it'll be on Raw Talk.
They'll have Raw Talk. They'll have the bump.
Do some supplemental picks on the bump.
They tried last year. They did the trade from WWE backstage, which we don't have anymore, but they always just put something out on Twitter.
And they'll draft Ryan Popola to Velocity.
Yeah.
As
long as he's with Sasha Banks, I don't think he'll care.
Yeah. So this wasn't planned, but I just want to jump back to AEW real quick because Chris Jericho is tweeting. Great to see that the AEW main event of Jericho and Jake Hager versus Serpentico and Luther increased 10% from the previous segment and doubled the NXT viewership in the demo, plus female viewership was up in that slot. This just proves that Luther is a money draw and a sex machine. And somebody said, take notes from O'Reilly and Balor, to which he said, yeah, I will. I had to had to fuck each other up during a match so I can't work again for months. Smart wrestling.
All right, he's got a point there. Another thing that's funny that's been happening on Twitter.
What's that?
Triple H's likes.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if it's still up now at this point.
He took it down. He unliked it.
He unliked it? Okay, so for anybody that's interested, one of Triple H's most recent likes was somebody saying that their favorite match of Lars Sullivan's was, and it was a picture of the video that he did in the past. And Triple H's account liked it, which I thought was fantastic.
Triple H is a guy. He gets it.
I hope that was him just being like, oh, this is funny. And then somebody being like, oh, Paul, you can't do that, whatever. And he's like, fine, I'll unlike it. Instead of just being like, oh, somebody hit the button by accident. Or I hope that he actually thought it was funny, because it is funny. It's like,
yeah,
gross sense of humor,
That's right. I agree.
I don't know where you grow it. I don't know what kind of seeds you put out there, but talk to a gardener.
Whatever it is, I think we need to plant it in abundance.
You take back some of the rainforest and plant some sense of humors instead. Oh, that burned down anyway, so let's just let's help out the world. 2020 needs it.
I agree.
That's the draft talk, at least for right now. At the end of this whole situation, we're going to do a full-blown going over. That'll be the main event of next week, where we'll actually talk about how everything played out, because who knows how these are going to be. It might be like, okay, it seems like this is going to be, all the Mysterios are going to be on this, and they're all going to still fighting with Rollins, and this is still whatever. And then it might be like, oh, you know what? They're going to do an opposite reverse trade, kind of like how John Cena traded from the one to the other. Maybe they do that. I don't think that they will, but we're not going to have any idea, for instance, if Ricochet is in a great position or if he's totally screwed, because we don't know how the mid-card's going to look for these two things. It might be like, oh, wow, Ricochet's the only babyface that can be on Monday Night Raw. And then it ends up being, oh, my God, every babyface that's in around Ricochet's level is all there, and Angel Garza's the only heel that's in there. You know, I mean, like that stuff we're gonna have to figure out, and the tag team title situation and everything. So we will talk about that later on.
There's other fun things like, AJ and Paul Heyman just aren't going to be on the same show. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah. But that makes sense. AJ Styles can fight with Drew McIntyre, for instance. So I like that. And, with anything else like this, I'll be putting up more things up on that one page on smarkatmoment.com. So if you hear any kind of different news, I'll have that up there probably before a lot of other places have it up, because WWE, of course, isn't going to update. Still don't have a picture of the United States Championship.
What do you mean?
The old championship, we still have that up, but they still didn't update it to the newer belt. Isn't that crazy? How long has this been? They had it since December? Didn't take any pictures of it? Yeah.
No, I think you're getting that confused with the Intercontinental title. The U.S. titles have been since...
No, they've had it since December, and they never took any pictures of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they could have just taken a picture of it backstage when they had it back then. But it's been months, and we still don't have that up on the website. So, yeah. That's what I got for the hot tags. Obviously, drop your comments below. Tell us your thoughts on all these things. And the next thing you're going to be hearing from us is going to be another episode of the SmackDown, or Paul Heyman SmackDown podcast. I should just say, not the SmackDown Paul Heyman's podcast.
I mean, I think AJ Styles would like the SmackDown Paul Heyman.
Maybe that's what it's going to be. His Twitch account. It's just going to be guest appearing here. More views that way.
So, Paul Heyman SmackDown podcast is our retro podcast contribution to this channel. When I say ours, I mean myself and the wonderful Callum Wiggins, who really runs the ship and hosts the show. And I just come in and add words, and this next one is great. It's round 2 of the SmackDown Tag Team Tournament. We get to see, unfortunately, the start of The Undertaker and Tracy angle. Also the start of the Dawn Marie and Tori Wilson angle. And Al Wilson's involved in that too. It's all bad. But it's a good time to go back and just watch retro wrestling with your friends. So please enjoy that on this channel. You can check me out on Twitter at DudeFelice. Check out Fightful. Check out WrestleZone. I got a busy weekend. It's the collective. I'm live coverage. Wow. I'm doing live coverage of Joey Janela's Spring Break 4. So that'll be a good time. It's October, by the way.
Yeah, spring break.
It's not spring, but it was supposed to be, and why change? Spring break.
You don't go with like Fallout?
No, it can't just be like, autumn recess or Thanksgiving break or harvest helicopter hell or
harvest helicopter hell. All right, you're not naming pay-per-views.
Give it to my mind. Oh boy, Joey Janela's Spring Break. I'll be doing that. Bloodsport on Sunday. I'm not doing that, but I want to watch it. That'll be fun. And guys, enjoy wrestling. That's my line from another show, but here it is anyway. This is a wrestling show. Enjoy wrestling.
This is a wrestling show, unlike the last podcast we did, which was a Fanboys Anonymous show.
It absolutely was. I want Tony to sit down with me and watch this Batman movie so we can do other things outside of wrestling.
I want many, many things. I want my back to feel better. I want my post-nasal drip to go away.
Also, I said this, which you'll hear on the episode tomorrow, but you should honestly check out the Patreon and the Fanboys Anonymous Patreon and the TeePublic and the Redbubble, because Tony's got a wedding to pay for.
That is true. Things are
those things
expensive.
Don't pay for themselves.
Yeah,
I mean, unless you're just doing the whole thing in Brazil, then maybe it does.
No, it doesn't.
Well,
I have noticed that over the month that we have been in the whole, now we're engaged, let's try to plan things. We had an idea of what we wanted our budget to be. And our budget for both sides of things, it's going to be more of that for one of them. So, yeah, we pretty much almost tripled our budget, kind of. And that sucks. So I don't
Are you
know.
at least enjoying the idea of wedding planning? I know that you guys were like, oh, we don't need something big. Are you at least getting into the idea of like, hell yeah, let's celebrate us?
That's been a thing, but once you start getting into let's celebrate us and how much does that cost to celebrate us, and then you go, God damn it. Okay, well we can cut some of this and we can cut some of that, and what do you mean that's that expensive? That shouldn't cost that much, and you start getting into like the cheapest wedding dresses are $1,000 and up, and you're like, it's a 1-day dress, like kind of thing, and
Yeah, but it's the one that you're gonna keep like in the back of your closet forever.
that's a selling point, right? Imagine you go to a place like a David's Bridal, they're like, you're gonna keep this in your closet, and it's gonna collect a lot of dust.
You're gonna stare at it. It's gonna be the source of great pride, joy, and shame at times.
You are gonna look so nice in this, and then you are gonna wait a couple decades and have a lot of annoyances when you throw it out.
And it's gonna be a source of resentment in 20 years. You're gonna look at it and say, I used to be this shape. Even if you're the exact same shape, your mind will tell you that you're not.
Weddings.
The
Yeah,
point
so
is, weddings don't pay for themselves.
let's put it this way. If everybody on this YouTube channel donated $1 for 1 month, that would cover maybe a third of the wedding cost. Just putting it out there, everybody.
Donate $1. All
Not
of
as-
you, do it.
If everybody lifts a pinky, nobody has to lift with both their hands.
We're gonna need to do something about that.
Maybe I'll have some kind of GoFundMe or something. You know what I'll do? I'll do a 24-hour charity marathon, and the charity's going to be for the wedding, and it'll just be a 24-hour long mailbag or something like that. Maybe that would be kind of fun. I don't know.
A 24-hour. I could see that.
I could do it. I mean, shit, I've done the marathon, the Daystacular one, however many years. My record of staying up is 58 hours, so it's...
I've got nothing to do, so let's fucking...
Let me know, guys, if you would be interested, and if you think that could generate some income that I could use, then maybe we'll try to figure something out. Maybe it'll make it a whole thing where we watch like a full WrestleMania, and we do fan tracks on that, and we do like, try to make something out of that. I don't know if there's a limit on how you can... Is there like a how many hours that you can stream on YouTube?
I don't think so.
Something to keep in mind.
We won't know until we try.
It's true. So yeah, hit up the Patreon, check out the merch shop, hit up the applause button, the like button, all the buttons, and follow Rob at Dude Felice.
Yeah.
Follow me at Tony Mango, at A Mango Tree, and at, of course, Fanboys and Smark Moment. And keep checking out the websites, keep checking out the podcast, keep checking out everything. Check the skies, check the road, both the left and the right before you cross the street.
Check the sky. I mean, fire might be falling, so be fucking careful.
Maybe with a chance of meatballs. That was a cute movie. I like that.
That's a good movie.
Best part of the second movie, the little marshmallows. Those were adorable. And I like the shrimp pansies and all those jokes, of course. The leak in the boat. I mean, come on, you sold me on a movie with that kind of thing.
I'm with you.
Maybe I'm gonna have to rewatch those for Fanboys or something in the future. I don't know. We'll see. But with anything, if you keep paying attention to what we got going on here, whatever happens next, you'll get it. And hopefully you'll enjoy that. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. So thanks for listening to this, everybody. But for now, this has been another Smark Out moment, and we're being counted out.